Hi, I'm Emily. I've always believed that small acts of kindness can hold the power to change everything. Growing up, I remember my grandmother's gentle smile when she'd surprise us with little notes or her favorite homemade cookies. Those simple gestures taught me that love isn't about grand displays but about the quiet, everyday moments that make us feel truly seen and cared for. It's a belief I carry with me every day, believing that even the smallest effort can bridge gaps, heal wounds, and remind us of what truly matters. A few years ago, I had a vivid memory that still warms my heart. My family was gathered around the dinner table, laughter filling the room, and I looked around at all the faces, some tired, some distracted, but all familiar and loved. That moment made me realize how easily we can take each other for granted, how quickly life pulls us in different directions, and how important it is to pause and reconnect. I decided then that I wanted to create more of those moments, to bring us closer before life's busy pace swept us away once again. That's why I started planning a special family trip. Something simple but meaningful. I poured my heart into organizing every detail, from choosing the perfect destination to making sure everyone's favorite foods were included. I wanted this to be a time where we could truly be present with each other, free from screens and distractions, just sharing stories, laughter, and love. I was so excited as I saw the plans come together, imagining the smiles, the heartfelt conversations, and the memories we'd create. This wasn't just about a trip. It was about reigniting the bond that had started to fade a little over the years, about reminding everyone how much they mean to me and each other. But honestly, I could sense some family members weren't quite as enthusiastic as I hoped. Maybe they seemed a little guarded or distracted when I brought up the idea. Still, I held on to my hope that once we were together, they'd see how much I cared and how much this meant to all of us. I believe that even small gestures, like this trip, could remind us of the love we share and help us reconnect in a way that words sometimes can't express. If you've ever felt that desire to bring your loved ones closer, to make moments that matter, I invite you to stay with me on this journey. Like this video if it resonates with you, and don't forget to subscribe so you can follow along as I share what happened next. I promise this story is about more than just a trip. It's about finding hope, love, and the power of small gestures that can change everything. Thank you for listening, and I hope you'll stay with me through it all. At first, I was filled with a quiet hope, thinking that maybe this time things would be different. I imagined us all sitting together, sharing stories and laughter without distractions, just focusing on each other. I could almost hear the sounds of our conversations, see the smiles lighting up our faces. I believed that buying everyone new phones would be the spark to reconnect us, to remind them how much I cared. But as the days went on, that hopeful feeling started to fade, replaced by an undercurrent of unease I couldn't quite shake. Little things began to bother me. I noticed how they'd have side conversations without me, whispering and glancing away when I tried to join in. Sometimes they'd change the subject abruptly the moment I shared an idea, as if my words weren't worth hearing. When I suggested we plan something together, there was an awkward pause, and then they'd give half-hearted responses, almost dismissive. I caught myself trying to brush it off, telling myself I was overthinking, that maybe they just needed time. But deep down, I felt the cold sting of rejection creeping in. There was a subtle sarcasm in their tone when they joked about my efforts. "Oh, look at Emily trying so hard," they'd say with a laugh, as if my enthusiasm was some kind of joke. It hurt more than I wanted to admit, even to myself. I'd smile and nod, pretending it didn't bother me, but inside I was crumbling a little more each day. I kept telling myself I was overreacting, that maybe they just weren't used to this kind of attention, or that their indifference wasn't personal. Still, the ache of feeling invisible grew heavier. I tried to hold on to hope, telling myself that maybe they just needed time to see how much I cared. But the more I watched their disinterest, the more I questioned everything. Was I not enough? Did my effort mean nothing to them? Did I make a mistake believing we could be close? The idea that I might be chasing something that was slipping away before my eyes made my heart tighten painfully. I felt a growing distance between us, a gap that I couldn't bridge no matter how much I wanted to. And yet, I didn't confront them. I kept silent, pretending I was fine, even as I felt more isolated with each passing day. Inside, I wrestled with a storm of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal. I wondered how I had become so invisible, how my gestures of love had turned into nothing but echoes of loneliness. The pain of feeling left out, of being ignored even in my own family, was starting to consume me. I knew the moment of breaking was approaching, but for now I kept everything inside, trying to hold on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, they'd see me again. I never imagined that something so simple could cut so deep. One afternoon, as I was tidying up the living room, I caught a glimpse of my phone sitting on the table. It was open and a message notification popped up on the screen. My heart skipped a beat. Something inside told me to look. I hesitated for only a second before I unlocked the screen. The message was from my sister-in-law, and what I read made my stomach turn. It was a plan, a detailed list of arrangements for the trip, and I wasn't part of it. No mention of me, no invitation, just casual notes about packing, rides, and activities that clearly excluded me. My eyes blurred as I read the words over and over, trying to deny what I was seeing. How could they do this? How could they plan something so important, so intimate, without even telling me? My hands trembled uncontrollably, and a cold sweat broke out on my forehead. Tears blurred my vision, but I couldn't bring myself to wipe them away. I felt like the ground had shifted beneath my feet, like I had been punched in the gut. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it all. This wasn't just a misunderstanding, it was deliberate. They had known I was eager to connect, eager for us to share moments, and yet they had secretly excluded me from the start. I wanted to scream, to shout at them, but my voice was caught in my throat. Instead, a heavy wave of shock and sadness crushed me, making it hard to breathe. I backed away slowly, almost instinctively, and retreated into the quiet of my bedroom. I needed to be alone, to sit with this unbearable ache that was spreading through my chest. It was as if the warmth I had felt earlier was now just a distant memory, replaced by icy realization. They had lied to me with smiles, made me believe I mattered, when all along I was just an afterthought. I clutched my chest, feeling the sting of betrayal like a physical wound. My mind desperately tried to cling to hope, to convince myself that maybe I had misunderstood, maybe I'd read it wrong. But deep down I knew. I saw the truth in black and white. This moment shattered something inside me. Hope, which had flickered faintly in the background, was now extinguished. I felt numb, hollow. The warmth I tried to nurture within myself, thinking that gestures, buying new phones, planning this trip, could bridge the gap, had all been useless. The betrayal hit harder than I expected, like a cold knife twisting in my gut. I sat there alone, tears slipping silently down my face, overwhelmed by the crushing realization that I had been invisible all along. The pain was too raw, too real, and I knew that from this moment on nothing would be the same. As I sat there, my breath shallow and my mind swirling with pain, I felt a strange calm beginning to seep into my chest. It was as if, amidst the chaos of betrayal and heartbreak, a quiet voice had started to rise within me, urging me to stop fighting the tears and start listening to what I truly needed. I closed my eyes for a moment, took a slow, deliberate breath, and focused on grounding myself. The tears threatened to come again, but I held them back, anchoring myself in the present. I realized I couldn't keep living in this constant state of desperation, begging for scraps of affection or validation from people who had already shown me they didn't see me. And in that silence, a decision crystallized. I would no longer chase after their approval. I'd stop pleading to be part of their world, because I deserved more than to be kept waiting on the sidelines of my own life. I understood with an aching clarity that my worth wasn't something I should be constantly trying to prove. My dignity was not a bargaining chip for their affection. I refused to let myself become invisible in my own story. From this moment on, I would protect myself quietly and with resolve. A small, steady fire ignited inside me. It wasn't anger or fury. It was a calm acknowledgement that I needed to take control, to steer my life in a direction that honored who I truly am. I started to think beyond the immediate pain, envisioning the steps I could take to reclaim my independence. The trip, which once seemed like a symbol of connection, now felt like a trap I could step away from without guilt. I could cancel it, I thought, and with that simple act reclaim my space. I could begin to prepare for a future where I no longer depended on their approval or validation. Maybe I could start by organizing my finances, ensuring that I had control over my money, my choices. Small, quiet actions, but powerful in their own right. I felt a sense of calm strength grow within me. It was as if a door had been shut on the chaos of the past and a new path was opening, one I could walk alone with dignity. I didn't need their permission to exist, to be happy, or to live on my own terms. I could make decisions that protected my integrity, and I would do so with grace, not rage. I knew that the next steps wouldn't be loud or dramatic. They would be precise, deliberate, and mine. I was beginning to see that I didn't need to fight to be seen. I just needed to stand firmly in my own truth. Deep inside, I felt a quiet power rising, the kind that comes from knowing you've taken back control. I was no longer the person waiting for their approval. I was the person quietly deciding to change her life, to step away from toxicity and embrace her strength. And though the road ahead was still uncertain, I knew I was ready. Ready to act, ready to protect myself, and ready to carve out a space where I belonged on my own terms. That's where my focus now lay, quietly brewing beneath the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to unfold. I took a deep breath, feeling the subtle shift inside me, as if the quiet resolve had finally settled into my bones. There was no need for shouting or dramatic confrontations. I knew that the power lay in my calm, deliberate actions. My heart was steady, not because I was angry, but because I was finally in control. I moved through the house with purpose, each step measured and silent. My first act was to cancel the family trip I had meticulously planned and paid for, something I had once seen as a gesture of love, now simply a symbol of my own surrender. Now it was a clean break. I picked up my phone and did it without hesitation, feeling a strange sense of relief as the confirmation screen appeared. No fanfare, no apologies, just the quiet assertion that my boundaries mattered. Next, I gathered the essential documents, personal bank statements, my passport, my ID. I quietly tucked them into a small, discreet bag, making sure they were separate from the rest of the household's clutter. I knew I had to reclaim my independence, and that meant safeguarding my future in silence, away from prying eyes. I moved through the house like a shadow, collecting my belongings, subtly separating my things from theirs. Little items, my favorite book, a few sentimental objects I'd kept hidden, became mine once again. I was not rushing. I was simply claiming what was mine, knowing that each small act was a brick in the foundation of my newfound strength. There was a strange sense of peace in these quiet movements. The house buzzed with the noise of everyday life, unaware of the transformation quietly unfolding within its walls. I watched the family go about their routines, oblivious to the fact that I was already stepping away from the old patterns. I felt no anger, no sadness, just a calm certainty that this was necessary, that I was finally aligning my actions with my inner truth. Each step I took was a silent declaration. I am here, I am present, and I am in control. In those moments, I felt the weight of my previous doubts lifting, replaced by a quiet confidence. I knew I couldn't undo what had been done in the past, but I could shape what was to come. Every small, deliberate action was a seed planted deep within me, anchoring my resolve. There was no need for words, my silence spoke volumes. And as I finished packing my essentials, I felt an unexpected lightness, a sense of liberation that grew stronger with each passing minute. I was quietly building my independence step by step, ready for what was coming next. I felt the quiet strength settle over me as I moved through the house, each step deliberate and unhurried. There was no rush, no need to make a scene. Instead, I focused on the calm clarity that had taken hold. The first thing I did was cancel the family trip I had painstakingly organized and paid for. It was a small act, but it carried a weight of its own. A silent assertion that I was reclaiming my space, my choices, my boundaries. I didn't announce it, didn't explain. I simply picked up the phone and made the call, hearing the confirmation that the plans were now void, feeling the invisible shift of control seeping into every part of me. Next, I turned my attention to my personal belongings. I quietly gathered my important documents, my passport, bank statements, any papers that signified my independence, and stored them carefully away in a secure place. I knew that these symbols of my autonomy needed to be close, yet separate from the chaos of everyday life. I didn't do this out of anger or frustration, but with a sense of relief. It was as if I was finally aligning my external world with my internal resolve, each small act reinforcing the new foundation I was building beneath my feet. With a steady hand, I began to separate my belongings from theirs. I took my clothes from shared closets, packed away personal keepsakes, and made sure my space was distinctly mine. I moved quietly, almost invisibly, while the family went about their routines, unaware of the invisible lines I was drawing in the sand. The walls around us still echoed with their laughter, their conversations, but I was already stepping outside of that familiar circle. I wanted to feel the weight of my independence growing solid and undeniable, without raising a single voice or causing a ripple of disturbance. Throughout these actions, I maintained an emotional neutrality. No sadness, no anger. Only a calm sense of purpose. I was creating a sanctuary for myself, one built on quiet resolve and unwavering dignity. Each step felt like a small victory, a piece of the puzzle falling into place, giving me a sense of control I had long denied myself. The house still buzzed with life, but I was no longer part of the chaos. I was observing it, shaping it, steering it silently. In these moments, I felt the subtle yet profound shift within. It was as if I had taken a breath deep into my core, filling myself with a newfound strength that no one else could see. I knew that these quiet actions were laying the groundwork for what would come next. I didn't need to announce my intentions. I only needed to act with calm precision. And in doing so, I was quietly preparing myself for the day when everything would change, when my voice would finally be heard, not through noise, but through the unshakable foundation I was building from within. I could see it clearly now, the desperation in their eyes as they scrambled to regain control, to pull me back into the familiar chaos I had finally stepped away from. They came with hollow apologies, thinly veiled attempts to make me feel guilty, as if their words alone could undo what had been done. "We're sorry," they said. But their voices lacked sincerity, sounded more like echoes of their own regret than true remorse. They tried to manipulate with guilt, with pleas to forget what had happened and pretend everything was still normal. But I saw through it all. I felt nothing but a calm certainty inside me. No guilt, no longing to go back, no temptation to fall for their tired tricks. I had already taken back my power, and I wasn't giving it up again. They reached out, desperate, pleading, as if silence might be more painful than their words. I remained silent. It wasn't about being cold. It was about respecting myself enough to refuse to be pulled into their chaos again. Their apologies and pleas bounced off my firm resolve. I knew who I was now, what I had become. Someone who chooses her own path, who values her dignity above their excuses. I had built boundaries that they could no longer cross, and I was determined to keep them intact. Their attempts to manipulate me only confirmed how much they depended on my weakness, on my willingness to be part of their twisted game. But I was no longer part of it. I was free from their influence. Their desperation only made me stronger. I saw the flicker of panic in their eyes, the realization that I was no longer the easy target, that I had taken control of my life in ways they couldn't undo. I didn't need to say a word. My silence was enough. I turned away from their pleas, from their guilt trips, from their false remorse. I looked at the space I had created for myself, a space built on clarity, strength, and unwavering self-respect. I am no longer someone they can manipulate or guilt into submission. I am someone who knows her worth now, who has claimed her independence with quiet confidence. There was a strange sense of sadness, perhaps, for what could have been if they had been different, if they had understood the value of honesty and respect. But that sadness no longer held power over me. I saw it for what it was, a reflection of their own failures, not mine. I am no longer waiting for their approval or trying to fix what was broken. I've moved beyond that, into a space of genuine strength and serenity. I know who I am now, and I am proud of her. I don't regret my choices because they have set me free. And as I stand here, silent but unshakable, I realize that I am finally in control of my story, and nothing they say or do can take that away from me. For the first time in a long while, I wake up feeling a genuine sense of calm. No lingering anxiety, no guilt weighing me down. Just a peaceful awareness that I am finally creating a life that belongs entirely to me. I open my eyes and take a deep breath, savoring the quiet in my home, a space I've slowly transformed into a sanctuary. It's not perfect, but it's mine, and every little corner reflects the choices I've made to reclaim myself. I start my day with simple routines, watering my plants, making myself a cup of tea, and listening to the soft hum of the morning. These small acts have become my anchors, grounding me in this new chapter. Taking care of my mind, body, and soul feels different now. I no longer do it out of obligation or to please others. I do it because I deserve it. I've rediscovered the joy of moving my body, not through rigorous workouts, but through gentle stretches and walks around my neighborhood, feeling the sun on my face and the breeze in my hair. I've started reading again, losing myself in stories that nourish my imagination and remind me of my own strength. I find moments of quiet reflection, simply sitting with my thoughts without judgment, appreciating the clarity that comes with not being tangled in others' expectations. Every day I celebrate small victories. Today I organized my bookshelf and it felt like a victory in itself, my own little testament to order and control. Yesterday I cooked a meal just for myself, savoring each bite without guilt or distraction. These acts, seemingly insignificant, have become powerful affirmations. I am in charge of my space, my time, my choices. I look around my home now and see not a reflection of the past chaos, but the outline of a future I am shaping with my own hands. There's a lightness in my chest I hadn't known in years. I feel genuinely happy, not because everything is perfect, but because I am finally allowing myself to be fully present in my own life. I no longer look back with longing or resentment. Instead, I feel gratitude for having freed myself from the weight of manipulation, for learning to listen to my own voice, and for the quiet hope that each day holds new possibilities. I am building something solid, something rooted in my own dignity and autonomy. And as I move forward, I do so with a sense of pride and a quiet confidence that this life, my life, is exactly what I want it to be. As I sit quietly in my little corner of the world, I realize how much has shifted inside me. It's as if, after all the chaos and the struggle, I've finally opened the door to a life I never truly believed I could claim. One filled with new passions, unexpected joys, and fresh possibilities. I've discovered hobbies I never thought I'd enjoy, like gardening, not just for the beauty of it, but for the simple act of tending to something, watching it grow under my care. It's a small thing, but it's given me a sense of patience and nurture that I never knew I needed. I find myself waking up eager to start my day, not because I have to, but because I want to. My goals have become clearer too. I no longer see life as a series of hurdles to survive, but as a canvas waiting for my brushstrokes. Connecting with new people has been another unexpected blessing. I've started forming friendships with those who inspire me, kind souls who listen without judgment and share their own stories of resilience and hope. These relationships feel different. They're rooted in genuine respect and mutual growth, not in dependency or validation. Sometimes I meet a friend for a walk or a cup of coffee, and I realize how nourishing it is to be surrounded by people who see me for who I am now, not for who I was or who I used to be. It's freeing in a way I never imagined possible. I've also reconnected with some old acquaintances, people who spark a sense of inspiration and remind me of my capacity to continue evolving. With each new connection, I feel my world expanding, becoming more vibrant and layered. There's a quiet joy in everyday moments that I cherish so deeply now. Sitting on my porch watching the sunset, feeling the breeze on my skin, or simply savoring a cup of tea without racing through it. All these little things have become treasures. I've learned to find happiness in the ordinary, understanding that life's richness isn't measured by grand achievements but by genuine, simple pleasures. I no longer chase a distant ideal of perfection. Instead, I embrace what is here and now, appreciating how far I've come and how much I continue to grow. Most importantly, I see myself differently. I am no longer defined by the pain I endured or the scars I carried. I am whole, capable, and eager to shape a future that reflects my true self. There's no more waiting for permission or validation. I've built a foundation of strength, and from that place I dream bigger. About travel, learning new skills, perhaps even starting a small project or sharing my story someday. I am no longer just surviving. I am thriving. Every day feels like a gift, an opportunity to create something meaningful, something that belongs entirely to me. And as I look ahead, I do so with gentle optimism, knowing that this new chapter is mine to write, filled with hope, love, and the quiet confidence that I am exactly where I need to be. Looking back now, I realize how much I've grown and how far I've come. The person I was, the one who felt trapped by doubts, by the weight of past mistakes, by the fear of losing control, she's not here anymore. She was brave in her own way, but she also carried a quiet heaviness that often made her forget her own worth. Facing those moments of vulnerability, of loneliness, was never easy. There were days when I felt lost in the chaos of expectations and insecurities, questioning if I'd ever find my way out. But somehow I gathered the courage to take small steps, moments of silence, moments of kindness to myself, and slowly, those steps turned into a steady walk toward something brighter. I've learned that change isn't about becoming someone else. It's about peeling away the layers that hide who we truly are. The challenges I faced, the tears I shed, the times I thought I couldn't go on. That was all part of the process of becoming more myself. And looking at where I am now, I feel nothing but gratitude. I am grateful for the lessons that once felt like burdens, but are now the foundation of my strength. I am grateful for the moments of pain that pushed me to look inward and find resilience I never knew I had. There's no resentment lingering in my heart, only appreciation for the growth that came from those storms. Today, I stand with an open heart, eager to embrace whatever lies ahead. I see my life as a canvas, still full of colors waiting to be added, stories yet to be written. I dream of new adventures, of simple joys like watching a sunset that takes my breath away, or sharing a quiet cup of tea with someone I love. The future no longer feels like a distant point on the horizon. It feels like a space I can shape with intention and hope. I know that life will continue to surprise me, that I will stumble at times, but I also know I am more resilient and more capable than I've ever given myself credit for. My story isn't finished, it's just beginning anew, richer and more authentic with each passing day. As I sit here reflecting, I feel a deep sense of peace. I accept who I am now, flawed, strong, compassionate, and full of potential. I've learned to cherish the present, to celebrate even the smallest victories, and to trust that my path will unfold exactly as it should. There's a quiet confidence in knowing that I am enough, exactly as I am, and that every step I take is part of a beautiful, ongoing process of becoming more myself. I want to invite you, wherever you are in your own story, to remember that change is possible for you too, that your past doesn't define your future, and that within you lies incredible strength and hope. Take a moment today to be kind to yourself, to appreciate how far you've come, and to keep believing in the endless possibilities ahead. If this story touched your heart, I'd be grateful if you left a like or a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more stories like this. Stories of growth, hope, and renewal. And if you feel inspired, consider supporting through the Super Thanks feature. It helps keep these stories alive and allows me to share more of what I've learned. Remember, your journey is unique, and your light is needed in this world. Keep shining, keep loving yourself, and know that everything you wish for is already within reach. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. From my heart to yours, I wish you peace, joy, and the courage to keep moving forward.